How do you want to start this? How do you want to start this? Let's just go.
Today's leg day. That's how we're gonna start it. And I'm doing it in my gym. Normally I do it at the Y, but after filming, I think it was the last video, I said, I promise I train legs because we never film legs, and it made me feel like we need to film legs. So today we're filming legs. We're doing it here. I usually do it at the Y because I enjoy using the leg press machine, but I did order a leg press and I'm excited about it because it does the single leg. Super pumped about that. Don't know how we're gonna get through those doors because those are small. Today we're gonna swap out the leg press with some kind of squat variation. I'm still gonna think about it in my head. If your goals are physique development, building muscle, stuff like that, you don't need to do a back squat. And I haven't put a bar on my back to do squats or anything for a while. And I'm telling you, my lower back, my knees, everything feels better. Not that I should never do it again or you should never do it, but taking a good solid chunk of time of not loading your spine. It's called axial loading. So like big, heavy back squats, lunges, deadlifts, anything where you're loading spine. It's just helpful. But today we might have to because we don't have it. So we're either gonna do a Hatfield squat or we'll do a Smith machine squat. We're gonna start with some leg extensions, leg curls, do some isolation stuff, and finish with some abs. Let's get into it. We'll start with a warm up. Oh. That's all I use the foam roller for, to crack my back, and I call it good. What I am gonna do is a little bit of thoracic mobility. Thoracic spine's the mid back. I'm gonna do some weird humpy looking things called cat cows or camel cows or cat, I think it's cat cow. And I'm just trying to push my spine into this, which would be extension, and then flexion, rounding my spine, back and forth. And then we'll do some rotation called thread the needle, where I'm reaching underneath. And I'm trying to rotate from the mid back, the midline, instead of my hips. Both of these are gonna help with being able to have a nice upright posture when doing any type of squatting pattern. Because I'm gonna do some kind of squat. I think I'm gonna do the Hatfield squats because we haven't done those in a while. I love doing those as a functional gym compound lift for hypertrophy. If you've never done a Hatfield squat and you have a safety bar in your gym, that is the best quad development squat you can do, in my opinion, when you don't have access to machines. Anytime we're loading the spine or we gotta stay upright or we're doing anything leg dominant, I like opening up the T-spine. It works great for when we're doing overhead work as well, because our ability to reach overhead for a pull down or a press, it's helpful to have a lot of that extension, flexion, rotation, so that I can move in these different planes while this is stable. Another thing that's really helpful when doing squats or deadlifts or anything would be any type of side plank like this, which I'm gonna do just holds with, or Pallof presses. So we're doing anti-rotation. Anti-rotation can help the external and internal rotation of your hip, as well as just general trunk stiffness. So just being able to hold these positions allows us to have more trunk stiffness, which is helpful when we're training legs. So I'm gonna do a couple rounds of these things, then we're gonna jump into some pre-fatigue exercises. Oh. All right, we're gonna do some leg extensions, some seated leg curls. Leg curls to start, get a little blood flow in the hamstrings. Typically that helps with squats quite a bit. Honestly, I don't even know why. There's not really much science to prove this, but I got it from John Meadows, rest in peace, Mountain Dog. He would always do hamstrings, like before squats. You just get a nasty, gnarly pump in your hamstrings. Before going into a squat, your knees just feel better. You can squat deeper. I've been doing it ever since. So we're gonna start with some leg curls. I don't have a lying leg curl, which is normally what I do today. So we're gonna switch it up and do a seated leg curl. I would actually recommend more of a lying leg curl if you're gonna do these before squats, because there's less adductor before going into a squat. However, if you're doing the seated leg curl after your squats just for accessory hypertrophy work, seated leg curls typically cause more hypertrophy because when you're in this seated position, there's a bigger stretch at the bottom of every rep, which is gonna lead to more growth. So that's important, but we're gonna start with that, then we'll do a couple sets of that, and then we'll go into leg extensions, get some blood flow in the quads before going into any squat. Ooh. do a couple warm-up sets, not because this is a big lift, but it's the first lift of the day. 1 or 2 quick warm-ups, just get moving, and then we'll do 2 working sets of like hard 10 to 15 reps. My leg days are pretty conservative, mainly because the goal is men's physique, so I don't need legs, and if I'm in a surplus and I'm doing some volume, they're gonna grow. We only have 1 leg day, and it's not super high volume. More volume placed on the quads for sure, so today is more of a high volume quad day, not too much hamstring, not much glute at all, so we keep it pretty light, pretty conservative. But again, mainly quad dominant today. This is an exercise that is super simple, but you can get technical with it from a positioning perspective. So for example, on this, what I should be doing is pretty upright posture, because if my hips come back, my legs lengthen out. Now I'm gonna have more stretch on my hamstrings. If I can't get my knee to flex all the way back because of the pad, at that point, I'd wanna scoot forward so that I can. I want my knee to be able to come all the way back. This is a full contraction, and then it's gonna allow a full stretch. In order to be able to do that and create that full stretch on the hamstrings, I'm gonna first pin my legs down pretty tight. So I want this to be pretty dang low, so I'm like really locked in. And unlike a leg extension where I'd want to really like anchor myself into the bench, I'm actually going to lean forward. When I lean forward now, I'm causing a bigger stretch on my hamstrings, especially up top. Instead of me being here and relax, I'm going to lean forward over the pad, come into it like this, and then when I go all the way out, I'm in a big stretch position. If you took me out of this and put me on the floor, I'm literally doing a toe touch. The only difference is I'm going to hold onto this so that I can really like grip onto it, or I can hold down here if it's easier, whatever you got to do to be able to grab on and lean forward to cause that big stretch at the top of every rep. That was it. Now we got leg extensions. We're gonna apply the same exact thing. One thing I constantly see people do, and some leg extension machines just suck. Actually, the one at the Y that I usually use, I can't stand because I can't move this back, this anchor point. So if I can move this lever back as far as I can get it, now you can see when I just have it hanging, there's still tension. I can't even get out of here without this plate floating. This weight is creating tension in the stretch position. So now I actually want to lean back. So I would encourage you to move the back part of the seat as far back as you can. Let your knees glide forward. So even at the very bottom of this lift, there's still tension and weight being applied on the muscle in that stretch position. Most of the time people say that leg extensions aren't the best for your quad growth because a squat pattern is going to cause more stretch under load. But if you just jimmy rig yourself into this, if you just get into a position where you have this stretched position loaded, now the whole movement pattern is going to be far more beneficial because you're not just shortening the muscle. Most of the time we're right here, we contract, and then we're not even in a full stretch position before we go back up. Whereas if I do this, now I can be that. So I'm gonna grab the handles, I'm gonna pull myself into the seat pad so I can really anchor myself down, and then lock out, and then go all the way into that stretch position as far back as I can. All right, so I'm pulling these, I just have them stored up here, but these are just pegs, essentially. Normally you would have these in a squat rack for wrapping bands around when you're doing lifts. What I'm gonna do with them is use them as handles for while I'm squatting. I believe that's the, yeah, that'll be good. Probably gonna have to move that dip bar, huh? Facts. Should have thought about that. Pretty big squat wedges here. That allows me to really get quad dominant. I can get really low. And I actually like to lean back so I can sit into it as much as I can. Get some weight on this now. If you don't have weight on it, that thing will just slide right off. It's nice because it's like a hack squat or a Smith machine squat to where with those I can lean back. My butt sits down to the floor, almost like a sissy squat actually. So I can get just a bigger range of motion without falling backwards. Whew. All right, so we got literally 1 or 2 sets. I'm gonna do a body weight set and then a loaded set. It's just like a drop set to the heavier squat or the leg press I normally do. Normally, when I'm at the commercial gym doing the leg press, there's like 4 warm-up sets and 2 to 3 working sets. So there's a lot more volume because I can load more plates, so it takes me much longer. Typically, I'll do like 1 to 2 sets on this afterwards as like a drop set. Then I move on to hip abduction and adduction machines, which I don't have here, so we won't be doing that. We're gonna skip those and we'll get into abs, which I normally keep separate. For my training session, we're just gonna do some hang leg raises after this. abs are a confusing topic for most people because they don't understand the difference between hypertrophy abs and strength abs, right? So there's two different types of ab training we can do. There is the functional performance strength-based type of ab training, which we're gonna do like anti-extension, anti-rotation, anti-lateral rotation. So anti-lateral rotation being a heavy single arm farms carry, or stability being a double arm farms carry. Weighted planks for anti-extension. Anti-rotation would be like Russian twists or landmine twists. Whereas for hypertrophy, if I'm trying to grow my abs and make them pop, develop them, I wanna do hanging leg raises on the floor. I wanna do sit-ups, crunches, weighted crunches. I wanna load the muscle and I wanna do flexion or extension. So mainly I'm doing flexion or reverse flexion, right? Which is I'm gonna bring my knees to my shoulders or I'm gonna bring my shoulders to my knees. Leg raises or crunches. Load them when you can, keep them in a moderate volume. That is gonna be the best way to hypertrophy. And that's a wrap on a leg day. Very simple leg day. Sometimes the simplest training sessions are the hardest. If you have less to focus on and you can do it with more intention, the exercises are gonna be executed better. You're gonna place more tension on the muscle you have. You just have more intention. Less is more, and that's my theme for the year. Less is more. So today we had really just 4 exercises. Leg curl, leg extension, Hatfield squat, and then Bulgarian split squats. 5 if you count the abs. But it was a good session here instead of the big box gym. Soon we'll have a leg press. If you enjoyed this video, if you're using my training sessions, if you have questions about training or nutrition, coaching, whatever it is, make sure you check out everything else we offer. We have almost 1,000 episodes on the podcast, the Tailored Life podcast. Go check that out. Go follow me on @CodyMcBroom on Instagram. I post there every day. We're on TikTok, we're on Threads, the website, TailoredCoachingMethod. We give away so much free content. If you like this, you'll like that stuff as well. Subscribe, like the video, comment below. I appreciate you. We'll catch you next time.